More about searches on Google, top searches for real estate globally per Google.
Yeah.
Okay. How to get into real estate buying.
How to get into real estate buying. So we talked about education, we talked about access to capital, and then really it just boils down to your niche, your focus. The primary thing that people have trouble with after access to capital, the barrier to entry is access to capital.
Find the money. Start with the money. Again, we answer the same question with the same answer. Start with the money.
Always. Then it's find your niche, get your groove. And it's hard for people to stay focused on that because there's so much out there. Is it a single family residence? Am I going to fix and flip? Am I going to house hack? What am I going to do to continue to scale? Is it going to be a rental property that's a multifamily? Is it going to be commercial? Is it going to be mixed use? What's my niche?
Short term. I think most people focus on residential first. The commercial world is such, well, first of all, it's a whole nother animal in real estate. The rules are different, the contracts are different, the process is different, and the numbers are very large. Multi-million dollars in purchase prices to get into commercial investment versus real estate. If you focus on markets like Northeast Ohio, specific to Youngstown and some other, strategic areas, you could still buy a house for $100,000 or less.
Yeah, you can. And that's obviously a great cash on cash return. So how much cash am I going to take to then produce cash flow that pays my cash back at a percent, typically annualized? So the ability to stay focused on your niche. Let's just pick house hacking as an example. What is house hacking? So if I buy a multifamily residence, let's just pick a duplex, and I want to live in one side or upstairs or downstairs, it does not matter.
One unit,
and I can rent the other unit, then that's house hacking because I have the ability to get a primary residence loan that has a lower down payment requirement because I'm going to live there. And then I can use the rental income to offset the amount of my mortgage payment.
Because if you're going into that with an investor, as an investor, without living there,
you need more money.
20 to 25% down.
Some cases 15% down, but 15 to 30% down is what typically comes with investment property discussions.
The loan terms are not as good. The interest rate is higher.
That's right.
But if you're buying this as a primary, that's a whole nother scenario that's more affordable and lucrative.
And not only that, once you own it, live in it, and move, you've got your mortgage financing set typically on long-term financing at fixed interest rates where you've got a low barrier to entry because the amount of capital that you need is so much less.
And for 30 years.
Because you can borrow more money.
Yeah.
So when you have the wherewithal, the understanding as a younger individual, you can build to what you want, your single family home for my family on some land, you can build to that.
I'm going to add in a sub question that would fall under this category that I've received as a professional. Well, how long do I have to live there, Brandon? If I buy it as a primary and it's a duplex, 1 year? Do I need it? That's what I hear. How long?
There is no concrete answer to that unless there's a deed restriction associated with it on the sale, right? And a lot of that became known in the foreclosure crisis because you would have people coming in as investors, mortgage fraud, that are trying to buy properties and say they're their primary residence. And so you get your first home look to somebody that's going to put it in as a primary residence offer. When you have a deed restriction associated with how long, you need to live there, then that's an extra layer of protection that the seller is offering to a primary residence buyer. There is no concrete answer to, I have to stay there a particular period of time. Life happens. So if I buy a house and I got relocated to Charlotte, North Carolina, and I lived there for 3 months, I buy my house and things don't work out at that job, I don't have to sell that house just because I've been there for 90 days. And if I bought it as a primary residence and I want to move somewhere else, then I just have to explain why, what happened, and I can go somewhere else and buy another home.
You like to say it's all about intent.
It's all about intent.
When you're signing a loan application and a promissory note at closing, it's about your intent.
Yeah, and I've, over the years, expanded pre-approval letters to letters of intent. What's the intent of this property that I'm going to buy? Why am I buying it? And how does the money work? I combine the two. And a lot of times people mistake when those details are provided and you're working on a transaction that the letter of intent is a more commercial concept or lingo. That's not. It's just intent in general. What am I doing with this piece of real estate that I'm buying?
So how to get into real estate buying? You can learn, you can get approved, start with the money, and you can house hack. You can also do new construction and move every 2 to 3 years.
That's right. That's another concept of buying land, holding land, using the land equity to be able to have as your down payment requirement for a house that you're going to build. And then as you move into that and you stay there for a period of 2 years, when you stay in a home for 2 years as your primary residence, and 2 out of the last 5 years, if you sell it, you can sell it up to $250,000 tax-free if you are single, up to $500,000 tax-free if you are married. As a gain, that money is not taxable. So if I buy a house for $400,000, I live there for 2 years, and I sell it for $525,000, net numbers, 400 to 525. And that particular example, that $125,000 is tax-free.
And that can work with a new build, or it could work with a renovation.
Or just a property that you're going to buy in and live. What you're kind of pointing out is, can I drive the value add by buying land and putting it into real property, which is building a house or some sort of real estate on it, and then A plus B is worth more than C is worth more than A and B combined as a base by the time you exit,
right,
which would be letter D.
So value add, and now that leads me into, you need to learn the market and the rules in the market that you're focusing on. Every state, every county, every city has different rules about what you can and cannot do.
Very true. And while it may be frustrating, as the rules become more restrictive and it's harder to get in, then you're going to derive more value, because not as many people are going to stay the course and figure it out. And those that do are more esteemed in what they know, and they put that to work and they get paid for it.
So let me give some examples. That could be a zoning restriction within a development where you must have a minimum amount of square footage and you cannot have an above ground pool.
Could be number of bedroom counts on a septic system.
It could be a short-term rental restriction within a city that you can or you cannot, or if you can, you must now jump through these hoops in order to get permitting, or there might be a cost associated with that.
Yeah, it's all stuff that becomes prevalent as you begin to learn about the niche in your market. And so this would be more of a shout out to investors. Most individuals that are looking at primary residence purchases, they're going to be more air quotes ordinary in their approach. But as an investor, when you're looking for that one-off, that niche, as you can begin to what I call turn the money. So learn the basic and then learn something else and then learn something else. All of those are things that when you stack them, yield returns.
And so another recommendation is start small.
Yeah. Don't try to, buy a skyscraper as your first investment.
Pick one thing, roll with that. And then I also recommend people pick what they like. If you don't like short-term rentals, if you don't like the guest experience, if you're not into that, maybe you should focus more on long-term rents and buying a fourplex.
Sure. And that's the bright, shiny object, right? So a lot of people, as an example that you just brought up, short-term rentals, a vacation home, 10% down, the barrier to entry is lower than an investment property. I can buy a home, I can rent it out, and I can cover my basis. And that's why COVID and the phenomena with short-term rentals became a thing. Interest rates dropped, prices continued to rise, people came in with lower down payment requirements and began to be hosts with their vacation home. Well, factor in the guest experience where most people fail, and you just can't, air quotes, hack it. You can't stay with it because people need to be coddled when they're a guest.
Yeah.
And the guest experience matters. And all of the things that are associated with the hard asset, real estate itself, matter. And if you're not creating the experience, the actual environment for them to go have fun in, and then while they're there, wowing them with a guest experience in terms of service, it's not going to work out.
Yeah. So how to get into real estate buying? Start with the money, start small, pick a niche, and learn about it.
And stay focused.